Hello and welcome to a Warhammer Online Battletome review. Today we are looking at Lumineth Realm-Lords. Okay, Jack, the Lumineth book arrived along with the limited edition box set. We've done an unboxing, so if you haven't seen that already, there's a link below. But right now, what we're going to be doing is looking at the Battletome.
Yeah, I've had a flip through, looked at some of the lore, a vigorous looking at the rules because
Deep dive.
It's amazing.
Just amazing. So what we're going to do is a brief look at the front section. Because I think the lore is something for nice.
It's really interesting. It's really nice lore.
And then we will jump into some of your favourite units and possibly a rough overview of what you think your first 2,000 point list is going to look like.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Let's dive into this book. We've mentioned briefly in the unboxing, beautiful matte finish artwork. More importantly, I love it when it comes to filming. So you get no horrible reflections, no glossy reflections off the page. Thank you very much, Games Workshop, for giving some consideration to that. Classic intro followed by the section. Let's just have a brief look at the
classic
breakdown.
Intro, which is basically the Lumineth think they're better than you. Everybody else is scrubs. Elves for the win. MVP.
Lumineth fight a war for reality itself, and in that war there can be no sacrifice too great.
Yeah, they're just
no sacrifice of other people.
Yeah.
More importantly, I think.
Any sacrifice of elf life, unacceptable. But anybody else, they're lesser. Who cares?
Let's jump into this. We have, from a contents point of view, this is a 96, 97 page book. Yep. Roughly breaks down into the lore running up until page 27, 28. Then you kind of into the because you do have the background behind the units, and then we've got kind of artwork stuff at 54 to 56 and painting. Page 64 is when we kick into the rules. So we're more than halfway through the book. We're kicking into the rules. Whole bunch of stuff on allegiance abilities as ever. There's a battle plan, which I think we're going to play for battle reports. We talked about this will be a great place to start doing some of the battle plans from the actual battle tomes. Path to Glory is in there, and then we're into the War Scrolls. War Scrolls running from page 82 through to 95. Give you an idea. What a great army.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? I'm flipping through the pages, Jack, but what have you picked up from the lore so far that was kind of standout features for you?
This the page that you were just on, it basically is just a brief overview of the elves. In a classic elf faction, they went to the highest highs only to fall to the lowest lows.
So there's
hubris was their greatest downfall.
So there's a 40k Eldari feel to this for sure.
And of course, they're always intertwined with Slaanesh because of excess.
Yeah, and I don't mind that. I don't mind the mirroring of that, because I think it's one of those things. They are uber powerful.
Yeah.
So the idea
the Slaanesh are the in
dark reflection.
I was going to say the dark reflection, because in all intents and purposes they are just demonic versions of elves.
Yeah.
Super fast, solely devoted to excess and stuff. The elves themselves, it even says there, they feed the Dark Prince just because they do things to excess. The elves, skills are trifling to them. They can learn anything in a week. Things that would take a lifetime for a human to master, they pick up in a month. So like sciences and arts and crafts, they're all just like toys to them almost.
And this is very familiar. The Lumineth of long shunned emotion, for the prevailing opinion that it clouds the mind and detracts from perfection of pure thought. Worse still, powerful emotion may lead to the incarnation of echoes in the ether, as exemplified by Slaanesh demons and forbidden works of elven scholars. Yeah, it's brilliant. I love it, and this is why I think you need to let me do this army.
Oh, of course.
What else?
That beautiful artwork there. I love how you've got these hordes of demons, and then you've just got Selenar there. Its wings outstretched. Just gazing over all
casting
of them.
Shadow over them with a light coming from behind. This, my favourite quote, we covered it in the box, but like the sun they burn, brilliant and blinding, like a river they run, flowing around all resistance. At need they stand implacable, the strength of the mountain carried with them. They are as swift as the wind. Their magic is the zenith of arcane artifice. They are the Lumineth, and even the Dark Prince Slaanesh has learned to fear them.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Amazing.
Love it. God killers. Well, or at least God imprisoners.
Oh, yeah,
you know what I mean? Fantastic stuff. Okay.
Okay, so this is the Age of Myth. This is where they talk about kind of how the elven gods came from the old world to the new.
Mm-hmm.
So you had Tyrion. Tyrion awoke in the heart of Haish, yeah?
Yep.
After the old world, kind of, without his brother, you know, he felt pangs of loss for his brother. He couldn't recall anything, and he just set off walking. He could hear his brother's voice on the wind. So he just set off walking, and he basically walked from the heart of the realm to the edge of the realm, killing everything in his way. You know, this is a very primordial time. There's god beasts everywhere and stuff out to get him. So he went from the heart to the edge, killing everything in his way. And when he got to the edge, he gazed at the raw light, the raw knowledge and illumination of Haish, and it melted his eyeballs in his sockets. And he doesn't really remember what happened. All he remembered is waking up with his brother's body next to him. So Teclis is back. They're together, the twin elven gods. And, you know, he is blind, like, for all intents and purposes. He has no eyes, but he learned to use magics to see through his brother's eyes and, more importantly, just see through, you know, extrasensory perception.
Power,
you know? It's like soul stuff, isn't it? He doesn't need eyes. He's a god.
Cool.
This is the Rise of Enlightenment. So, you know, I should also mention it talked about the pantheon of the elves forming, because you know they found Sigmar. They found Sigmar in their travels, there was much rejoice when they found Sigmar. It was amazing, another being of good. And Sigmar basically said, "Look, I've searched high and low across these realms, bringing life to it all, but there's no elves. I can't find elves anywhere." Not that there's no elves, but there's very few elves. So Teclis and Tyrion, you know, kind of upset by this, go searching on their own, and it leads them to Shaiish. So they kind of thought, you know, if all our elves are dead, then they must have gone to the realm of death in some sort of elven underworld. So they go to Shaiish, where they meet a group of monks, and the monks say, this is interesting because we've also had another elven deity come looking for it, which turned out to be Malarian.
Okay.
And of course, they're two sides of the same coin. You know, Teclis and Tyrion are beings of light from Haish, and Malarian is a being of darkness from Ulgu. They can't step into each other's realms. Tyrion and Teclis physically can't go into Ulgu. Malarian can't go into Haish. So they meet in Shaiish and, you know, hatch the plan which will eventually cause all the souls from Slaanesh to be vomited forth back into reality, and they siphoned it all up. The first of these souls, of course, were the Idoneth.
Right.
Teclis actually wanted to destroy all the Idoneth, but Tyrion slowed his hand and said, no, just cast them out, you know, let them live their own lives. And of course they do, and they come back. And then after that, there was a subdivision of angelic beings and monstrosities. And the angelic beings went to the High Elves, Teclis and Tyrion, to create the Lumineth, and these monstrosities went to Malarian.
Okay. Nice.
And that kind
of covers that.
Yeah, that kind of brings around the birth of elves.
And more importantly, the fact that Malarian is continuing to run through the lore.
Yeah.
I'm so hopeful for Malarian faction. It'll be fantastic. Okay.
Here it talks about Haish, the twin realms, you know, between Haish and Ulgu. They're kind of how they're mirrors of each other. And it talks about the rise of the Lumineth. You know, the illumination of Tyrion and Teclis, how they grew the ladder. There's the ladder of teaching that they went up, learning things, arts and crafts and scholars. They went out into the realms, created these cities within the 10 paradises of Haish, apart from the center, because the center's just too primordial. They couldn't really focus there. And it talked about how Teclis got the ether quartz and figured out how to trap the realm's light. You know, the Haish has beams of light, which is just pure knowledge and enlightenment. And Teclis manages to capture this light in the Aether Quartz, and that's what they use to kind of better themselves to even higher states.
Section here actually called Prismatically Pure, and it talks about essentially catching that light.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so that's essentially what's going around in those the Aether Quartz. Yeah. It's the light of... okay, cool. Super cool.
And then it all goes wrong. So this is the toppling of the towers. Now, this is elves in their, in their hubris. They get better and better at things, but then there's strife. Elves fight each other, not directly at first, but as they get
war.
jealous. Yeah,
right, okay.
It became known as toppling of the towers. Cities could be burned with just the muttering of a word. Civilizations wiped out with the flick of a wrist. And in doing this, it's the greatest downfall of the elves. And in doing this, they basically tore open the Immaterian. The realm of chaos managed to pour through into Haish, and with it, demons of Slaanesh attracted to the realm of light. And that began the Age of Chaos.
There's a great line here, isn't it? Starting with cruel whispers, it escalated into cataclysmic war of magic that saw the servants of Slaanesh breach reality and the Age of Chaos swiftly take hold amongst the great nations.
And I love this artwork. You can just see elves dead, somebody just mourning for the loss, and just this mage with a city on fire behind him.
And more importantly, what looks like the breach, or the breach between reality, maybe.
Yeah.
Wow, because it's got that kind of purpley tint. Well, I'm assuming it's purple. I can't see it.
Yeah, the last line there. So began the Age of Chaos in Haish, the vengeance of Slaanesh writ large. For centuries, the realm suffered like never before.
Wow. This is an interesting section for me.
Yeah, I like this
bit. The runes of Lumineth, and they're actually like the meanings behind it.
The rune of rescue and unity, pride.
And we covered in the unboxing that, there was 10 shields for 5 models amongst the Wardens. Each one of them featuring these runes. So I like the idea that if you want to build a narrative around your unit, or a narrative around the leader, for instance, then you can kind of pick these runes to represent, what they are.
Yeah, and I love this as well. The overall rune of the Lumineth, you can see what each part is. The mountain, which is the big triangle, the wind whipping around it, and the river flowing downwards.
Yeah, and then the zenith,
which is just over it all.
Lovely. Okay, without further ado, let's get into the rules section, really, because I think maybe we could do a separate lore video and come back to that, because there's so many cool things going off within the lore. But you've been trawling through the rules. We're going to start with allegiance abilities. Yeah,
so everybody gets Aether Quartz reserve. So each unit has one chunk of Aether Quartz at the start of the battle.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it works similar to the Caradon Overlords. They're Ether Gold.
Yeah.
So everybody's got one chunk, and then one unit, once per phase, can spend that chunk. And you can use it to add one to save rolls, add one to hit rolls. What's the other one?
Ability has attempted to cast a spell, but before unbinding rolls are made.
You can either add one to the casting roll or re-roll the casting roll, or you can try and cast another spell.
Okay.
But if you do so, you -1 to your bravery from it. Unless you have the new mage near it, which can their role is to absorb the negative energy and project it on their foes. So they absorb the negative energy, and you can actually choose another unit within 18 inches to be -1 bravery, and it can be an enemy unit.
Wow!
So that's quite good. There's kind of no downside to it now.
Ups and no downs.
Ups and no downs.
Wow.
There's lightning reactions, which everybody have seen. So that's the double activation. So you can pick 2 units to fight instead of 1 for every activation.
In fact, it actually says you need to pick an enemy unit within 18 inches. Sorry, it has to be an enemy unit.
It has to be an enemy unit.
I mean, that's cool anyway. That's what you'd want, but wow.
But so the lightning reactions is... they're elves. They're super fast.
Mm-hmm.
They fight better than you, so you can activate 2 at a time instead of 1.
So 2 eligible units instead of 1 for your activation. I like that, because it's not an always fight first mechanic.
No.
But it's a get to fight. Majority of the time, get to fight first. I like that. That's good. Okay.
Apart from that, there's the 4 great nations you can choose from, but we'll get into them when we get to there.
Okay, spell laws. We've got 2 within this book: the Law of Haish and the Law of High Peaks.
So the Law of Haish is for for your standard mages, and the high peaks is for the mountain rangers, the Aliarth, I think they're called.
Picking one from each one, what's caught your eye, or?
Well, what catches my eye is Teclis knows all the spells from both laws. So straight off,
so they're all good.
Yeah, he already knows 14 spells.
Wow.
Because of his 2. But from the lore of Haish, I think one of the biggest game changers is Total Eclipse. So casting value of 8, but that doesn't really matter if you're Teclis, which we'll come to later. And if you successfully cast until your next hero phase, your opponent must spend 2 command points for every command ability instead of 1.
Oh, man.
So it can shut down quite a lot of that. You know, I'm thinking
half
guard, fighting first.
Because you know that when you're going into your turn and I'm still sat on the command point and you're grinning away to yours. Well, right, in this case, you'll be grinning away.
Because you have to spend 2.
Wow.
You know, from Lore of the High Peaks, maybe Crippling Vertigo actually looks quite interesting. Roll 2d6 before a unit makes normal move or charge move or pile in. If the roll is greater than their bravery characteristic, it cannot make that move. And with the ways of being able to put -1 bravery on things through the Aether Quartz negative energy blasts, that's quite interesting.
Can that stack? The negative
energy I don't think so, no. I don't think the negative energy can.
Yeah,
but there are other ways to give units negatives to bravery.
Of course. Wow. Anything else before we move on? Anything that caught your eye?
I mean, there you go. So, Voice of the Mountains. Casting value of 6 is successfully cast until the end of the turn. Subtract 2 from bravery characteristics of enemy units. And that's just army-wide, by the way. That's army-wide. That's an army-wide -2 bravery, and on the turn after that, -1 bravery.
So you hit them with -2 bravery, you hit another unit with -1 bravery from the Aether Quartz, and then you cast Crippling Vertigo. And
they're now -3 bravery, and they cannot move, pile in, or run. Or charge, rather. So, and bearing in mind, remember there's no such thing as... like remains in play spells. So you can cast Voice of the Mountains and it subtracts 2 on the first turn and then 1 on the second turn. And on the second turn, if you cast it again, you can get 3 on that turn and then 1 on the next turn after that. Now, I don't know if they're going to FAQ it because, it's similar to the Throne of Vines on Sylvaneth, which they never FAQ'd. So if Ilariel remains still, she can just keep casting the Throne of Vines.
It was their intent for how it works.
Yeah, but exactly.
Okay.
It's just to do with, a big mountain creature just shouting at you, basically.
Love it. Jumping to the Great Nations.
Yeah, so this is, your temples or whatever that you want to call them from Battletomes. You can kind of choose one for your army. The one that catches my eye is the Sayar, which is you all get 2 Aether Quartz reserves instead of 1. And you can spend command points for 2 units to spend their Aether Quartz every turn. Every phase rather than just 1 unit, which is really good because that Aether Quartz on the +1 to hit or the +1 to save can be really big. So you've got 2 units of horses charging in, and you can spend your Aether Quartz on both of them, and then they both get to fight. And then it's just stacking buffs.
My goodness, it's just nice. I look. By the way, for me, that color scheme is
which
gorgeous.
is what I'm going to be following because again, it ties in with my Daughters of Cain. They're purple, so
nice.
Expect to see them like that.
Cool.
Okay, so you're onto the battalions now. There's some really good ones in there. The Dawn Rider Lance, very interesting. 2 to 3 units of Dawn Riders, and you get to reroll hit rolls. With melee weapons on the charge, which is, always good. Or reroll save rolls of 1 that target friendly units from the battalion when it is within 3 inches of any other unit from the battalion, which is the Auralan Legion. I'm going to absolutely butcher names.
That. We'll go with that.
Which is kind of, they're just meant to be really bright and shiny, so it's hard to see them.
Well, here we are at the War Scrolls. Yep. We're not going to go through everyone, but let's pick out some of your favourites, and we can't go anywhere without Teclis.
He is insane. I mean, you look at his stats, his sword and his Moonbright Talons, and they're like doo-doo butts. But, that's not what he's about. He's about his magic. So he has the ability Archmage, which when he goes to cast spells, he doesn't cast spells like everybody else. He can choose to cast 1, 2, or 4 spells. He casts 1 spell, it automatically casts, and it cannot be unbound. Nice. If he casts 2 spells...
So if you absolutely need...
if you just need that 1 spell off, then you go with that. If he casts 2 spells, they cast on a 12, and if he casts 4 spells, they cast on a 10.
So, I mean... obviously 2 spells on a 12 are as good as cannot be unbound
unless somebody has benefits.
Benefits, yeah. Wow.
He has Aura of Selenar, which just gives +1 to casting, dispelling, and unbinding rolls for Lumineth Realm-Lords whilst they're within the 16-inch aura when they're unwounded. He has the Discs of the Elementari, which just means like he can automatically unbind an endless spell. He doesn't have to roll for it, and it's in addition to all his casting, which is awesome. I love that.
Oh, in addition to the casting, yeah. In the enemy hero phase, this model can automatically unbind one enemy spell. Do not roll 2d6 as well. So you can turn off an endless spell, and you can automatically unbind an enemy spell.
Yeah, wow. Which is awesome. And on top of that, he can unbind as many spells as he wants. He can only do the one automatic, but he can roll for all of them. And I know with every unit in this army being a wizard, Tzeentch players have been rubbing their hands going, yes, we're going to be amazing against this army. Teclis has... a 16-inch aura of 4 up to ignore spells that affect units on his army. And if they do ignore the spells, then you pick a unit within 18 inches and they take D3 mortal wounds. So that's it's like Tzeentch is just throwing all their fire at the units and it's just being absorbed and then shot back right at them, which I love. Man. I love it.
That is mental.
His spells are really good as well. So again, he knows both the laws, but Protection of Haish, which has a casting value of 10, of course, and it just gives him a 18-inch aura of 5 up to ignore wounds and mortal wounds, which is really nice.
Yeah, well, it's all right, isn't it? I mean, he's no Alarielle, but no, he's not.
He's something far more scary.
He's something far more terrifying. We didn't talk about the stats, though. I mean, do we need to go into it? The Sword of Teclis, 2 attacks, 4s to hit, 2s to wound, -3 rend, D3 damage. He's no combat dude.
Yeah, that's not what he's for.
But he can kill. You know, I mean, it's not... The Moonbright Talons coming from Selenar.
6 attacks, 3s,
-2 damage.
It's not bad.
It's got that kind of beetle effect from Alarielle going off, hasn't it, really?
You've got the Light of Eltharion. He is an awesome little, just absolutely assassin character. He always hits on 2s. Every to-hit roll of 6 is 2 hits. He gets ignore modifiers when making save rolls, and he halves damage inflicted by melee and missile weapons. He can spend command points for a 24-inch aura just to make everybody bravery 10.
Nice.
Which is great. He gets +1 to wound with his Fang Sword if he charges. He's just insane. Yeah. The only thing is, he's a 6-inch move. And he doesn't have a mortal wound save. So I think if you're, in friendly games, he's really cool. He can really work for you. But if you come up against a magic-heavy army and they know what he can do, then he's easily sniped. But he's still really good.
Your sense of the army, can you, in your builds, are you building without Teclis ever?
He's 600 points, which is a lot of points. But he does so much. The fact he knows all the spells, he can adapt to any situation. An 18-inch aura, 5+ to ignore damage.
Yeah.
Being able to just shut down enemy magic is hard. I can understand why people won't take him, but for me, it's hard not to put him in my list.
I mean, one of the experiences I've had as I've been picking up Sylvaneth really is it's a similar thing. It hurts a little bit to put Alarielle in the list.
Yeah.
But then every time I don't, I regret it.
Yeah.
I miss some of those abilities. Exactly. I miss what she can do. Yeah. Unless, of course, you're foolish enough to fail a charge in front of 20 Araboys. But that's another story.
Right, next on the chopping block, the Inari Cathala. Again, I'm probably butchering that. It's your generic mage, but it's also the one which absorbs the negative emotions and projects it on the enemy. So you're going to want to take a couple of these in your army. One definitely, 2 maybe, because just being able to cover the entire army with it. And their Darkness of the Soul ability, which is a casting value of 7. Pick an enemy unit within 18 inches and visible to them. Until your next hero phase, roll 2d6. Each time that unit makes normal move, charge, shoots, or fights, make the roll before the action is carried out. If the roll is greater than the unit's bravery characteristic, the unit cannot perform that action in that phase. So it's a better version of what we were talking about earlier, you know, which stops moves. And with all the ways to just bomb bravery in this, it's amazing. You know, I even think in a doubles scenario, it would have some interesting play with the spite revenants and stuff. So, you know, if you're taking doubles with your friend, if you want this elven feel to it, that would be a cool thing to play with. It's kind of the only time I've really seen a bravery bomb list work, because it doesn't rely on models fleeing, it's just stopping actions because of bravery. So I think that's very interesting. The Dawn Riders are by far my favourite unit in the entire book. I absolutely adore them. So as I talked about in the unboxing, the Deathly Furrows ability, which they get to add 1 to attack characteristics if they're fighting units with 1 or 2 wounds that don't have a mount, and add 2 if they're fighting units of 1 wound and don't have a mount, which puts them on like 3 attacks, 3s on the charge, -1 rem 1 damage, which again is really cool, but it's the sun metal as well. So every to hit roll of 6, that unit flicks a mortal wound, but they can cast the power of Haish on themselves, and any number of units in this army can cast this spell, and they all can cast it. Well, you know, within reason, the archers, the swordsmen, the spearmen, and the cavalry can all cast it.
Yeah.
And it gives them the 5+ to do mortal wounds. So this, like, you know, if you've got 2 units of 5 of these charging in, they're going to be doing 10 mortal wounds on average against 1 wound units. Which is huge. That's like, you know, that's normally a third of a unit gone.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's just the mortal wounds. They then get all the attacks which go through.
And the attacks aren't shabby. 2 attacks off of the guys, and the Sun Metal Lance. Oh, sorry, off the sword.
Yeah,
Sun Metal Lance
the
1.
boss
2
has.
attacks off the Who's, but of course all of the bonuses that you receive.
Yeah.
They'll just stack up. Wow.
Great
unit.
I love them.
Great unit.
14-inch
so
move,
mobile.
2 wounds, 4 up save.
This is it
so
feels
good.
bordering on the kind of Iden of Deepkin eel.
Yeah, I mean the only
MSU.
thing they don't get fly, but hey, you can't have everything. They're horses.
Yeah,
Leave
they
them
can
alone.
jump. Great model, by the way. I just want to say,
I love that model. Yeah,
painting challenge. I'm sure
The
the
veil.
veil over the face,
Yeah.
but wow,
Yeah.
wow. Skipping forward a bit past the Wardens, we've got the Alarif Spirit of the Mountain.
I love this model. He's one of my favourite models they've done.
I think it's fair to say that it's divided the community a little bit, hasn't it? The mountain guys, the stone guys have divided the community. I like them. You like them.
It's fine. You don't have to take them in your army. If you don't
that's
like
true.
them.
There's
You
other
know,
builds.
There's other stuff you can do. If you want to do like a pure old world high F build, you can do that. But for me, I really enjoy the high fantasy aspect of them.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you were going to do a mountain spirit, what other animal would you choose than, like, a bison bull? For me, that just feels like it's a mountain.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway...
Although I'd have gone with a marmot.
A snow marmoset.
Yes,
Just
marmot.
Just a little, like
large badger.
Yeah.
Kind of
on the floor with his like big belly. Yeah, I think that would have been a great mod. Just sat there with like a Totoro grin, just tickling his belly.
Okay, I've ruined your flow now.
Yeah.
But come on, what about the model? What about the unit?
So it's 12 wounds with a 3 up save, and because it's Alarith. There we go. It ignores -1 rend, just from being Alarith.
Okay, fair enough.
It's got a 30-inch range shot, which is 3s, 2s, -2 d6 damage.
I mean, it's
Love
only
it.
1 attack, and,
Yeah.
and in fairness as well, we cruised over it a little bit, but Teclis's lance also has
something similar.
2s and 2s -3 rend d6 damage. So it's a nice little. Let's just
not
remove
gonna
that kind of
complain.
18-inch range, but you know.
It has the Stoneheart World Hammer, 3-inch range, which is always good. 4 attacks, 3s, 2s, -2 rend, 5 damage when it's not wounded, and it has 2 attacks at 3s, -1, 2 damage.
Wow.
It's all but immovable, so you get to add 1 to the attack's characteristics if it didn't make a charge. So it's like you just plant it in the middle of the board and
you just
wait
stand
for
it
people
there
to
and
charge
let people
for it.
to smash
Yeah.
against it, which is what you would do against the the sea against the mountain, basically.
Yep. I like the ponderous advice. At the end of your hero phase, you can pick 1 friendly Lumineth Realm-Lords that's within 3 inches of this model. If the hero is within 3 inches of this model at the start of your next hero phase, then they can use their command ability in that turn without spending a command point. And it's just like, a Lumineth commander can draw upon the ancient wisdom of the spirit of the mountain as long as they're willing to wait long enough for a carefully considered advice.
And
I love that Entish feel to it, isn't it? It's just like, what should I do here? And the mountain just goes, let me think on that for a while, and kind of just stands there, you know, stroking its beard.
Half the battle goes by while it has a think about
I've got it. I've got it. It's just like, it's all right. We've already done it. That really
useful advice of, you know what you want to
do. So that's really good. The Stoneheart Shockwave, which is just a 12-inch blast in shooting and combat phase, which gives unit -1 to hit. Again, it's always really good to have -1 to hit.
Wow.
And it always counts as 0 wounds if it's within 12 inches of a Stone Mage.
Whoa! So that 5 damage Wildhammer just stays at 5 damage.
Stays. It's just, what are you going to do?
Oh my goodness! Wow.
And you know, it has a command ability to give Arif elves +1 attack, which is really good on the stone.
Only within 18 inch,
yeah,
but you know, not again to be expected in Sigmar's current format for sure. Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Love it. We'll not cover all of the endless spells. Interesting, by the way, as they are, both in terms of the model and look and feel. But Twin Stones has captured your eye.
I really like it. So basically, when this model is set up, place a d6 beside it with the 1 facing up. Each time a spell is cast by this unit within 12 inches, and not unbound, it gets like another 1 to a maximum of 6. And then a wizard can use the number to add to its casting roll.
What?
So if you've got like Techless and he just pumps out like 4 spells, you already get 4, and then you can use those 4 dice to get like +4 to a cast on another wizard, which is just insane. I love it. Yeah,
and you know, it's like they need that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Magic's not good enough.
That's like saying Halfguard needs a boost to their ignore.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Fantastic.
Elves do everything that everybody else can do, but better. And they should.
Fantastic. And I think we'll end on the pitch battle profiles, really. Just a quick look at a sense of the elite nature of the army. You know, Techless coming in at 660 is
the mountain creatures are about 360 for the named one, 340 for the unnamed, which I think is very reasonable.
So you just by putting Techless and one of the mountain creatures in, there goes 1,000 points. Yeah, exactly. There's half your army.
That's half your army. Yeah. The Light of Atharion being 220 points. Personally, I think it's a bit steep. If he was like 200 points, I would consider it more. But that 220 points is, you know, quite steep for... If he gets into combat, then yeah, he's going to be worth that 220 points. But the only problem, without a spell to teleport units, getting him into combat will be quite hard.
And in terms of battle line, there's an interesting mechanic. Of course, we have the Wardens here.
The Wardens are always battle line. And then for every unit of Warden you take... 1 unit of the Sentinels or Dawn Riders can also be battle line.
So that's cool.
So in a 2,000 point army, you will always have 2 units of Wardens.
Yeah.
1,000 point, one
unit. To make your third battle line, you have a choice of the
you can take Dawn Riders or Sentinels.
Or the Sentinels.
Yeah.
Sentinels being the archers. Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go, folks. Hoped you enjoyed that brief look through.
Yeah.
Could be brief, might have been longer. It's hard to say once you start jumping into the books. We've not covered all the units.
No.
You know...
I don't want to take all the excitement away. You still want to learn some of those hidden gems yourself.
And plus, you know, if you skip around enough channels, let's share the load, because people will probably have covered it all. For me, it just looks like it. 1, it's a beautiful looking army.
Yes.
2, I think it's going to be quite an interesting army to play.
Yeah, very elite, low model count, but
I mean, that's the thing, because it all sounds incredibly terrifying until you look at the model count and you go, okay.
Yeah, if I want to stick Techless in, that's like my army.
I can see my way of, you know, dealing with it. I mean, it's hard to say until we start throwing some dice in anger and you start doing 5s and 6s and I do my 1s and 2s again. We'll see, I think. There's some hard counters in there to some of the pre-existing factions for sure. You know, you mentioned Zeech being one of them. Any heavy magic is going to feel a lot of pain.
With Techless, they can just shut a lot of spells down.
Any army that's weak on bravery.
Even Nagash and Death, just that ability to shut down a spell without needing to roll is really powerful, because, you know, Nagash and Death always have that. You know, Nagash can cast like Van Hels's Dance Macabre or, you know, Crippling. Unhurling Vigor. I can't remember the names of the spells, but those really powerful spells which just cause you to have like -2 to hit and -2 bravery. And Teclis and Kuja go, no.
No.
And even if that no fails, you've then got 4 up to try and ignore it.
And I think as well, what's interesting is that the bravery mechanic in there as well. Particularly when you combine that with the double spend required for command points.
Yes.
So, you know, you can really heavily impact the bravery of large armies.
Works well on elite units, you know, like
multi-wound
Hearthguard or
elites.
Stormcast, something like that.
Any multi-wound unit, and you're smiling, aren't you, when you start to really hit bravery and then watch them roll the dice and make them pay double if they want to ignore it. And you're any army is soon going to run out of command points if everything's costing double. Interesting.
Looks like a really good army, really fun.
Yeah.
I think there's some fun lists in there. You can just go like archers, just rain fire from the sky. But
well, there you go. I think that's it for us. Hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe. There's a whole bunch of battle reports coming on. You will see these at some point on a battle report. We've only got a limited list out at the moment. And what was the math on the point count within the...
I think I was looking at Teclis, a mage, a mountain, 3 units of horses in a battalion, 2 units of the wardens. But I don't know how that's going to work. You know, maybe the Light of Altharion and another mage being able to cover more ground and stuff. But I'm definitely going to get Teclis. You're definitely going to see him on the field. It's definitely one of the mountain creatures. And some
you want that cavalry for that fast flank.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Of course, hardly any of that has actually been released.
No.
I think there's a pause between this box coming out, just like we saw with Sisters of Battle.
Yeah, they've got to get 40k out of the way, haven't they? So.
One would assume there's going to be a bunch of 40k stuff. There was a 40k release when this came out available, so we're seeing more from the Psychic Awakening. So I think it's going to be a while before you see the rest of the units. Maybe not. Maybe it will land quite quickly. Either way, there's time to get these built and painted and to start dribbling over the rest of your list, really, about what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Right, folks. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you again soon.
See ya.